What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to part 3 of Battlefield 2042 weapons in real life. In today's video, we're going to go over the assault rifles, and we've got 14 of them in 2042, so this video is going to be a rather long video, so sit back and enjoy. And if you did, make sure to leave a like and maybe consider subscribing to the channel as well, because there will be more coming your way soon. Also, the links to previous parts are down in the description. Make sure to give them a look, and with all that said, it's time to jump right into the video. First rifle of this list is M5A3, which is called Sig MCX Spear in real life. It's a multi-caliber rifle developed by 6 Hour. The rifle is primarily chambered in 6.8 by 51mm Sig Fury cartridge, but with a simple barrel change, it can also adapt to 7.62 NATO and 6.5mm Creedmoor cartridges. In 2019, the US military began the Next Generation Squad Weapon Program, also known as the NGSW, to find replacements for both M4 carbine and M249 light machine gun. Later in 2019, 6 Hour submitted their designs, and on April 2022, the US Army awarded a 10-year contract to 6 Hour to produce XM7 rifle, which is the US military's version of Sig Spear. Sig Spear has also 3 versions in civilian market with an MSRP of $5,000. In BF 2042, this thing is superb, and regardless of having less damage output, it's basically a no recoil weapon and has high rate of fire, so it's really a decent AR. Next weapon is AM-40, which is called AM-17 in real life, and you might not know this, but it's actually a Russian weapon. I was kind of surprised when I found out about this. For some reason, it just doesn't look as Russian as other Russian weapons do. Maybe that's just what I think, but I digress. This assault rifle uses standard intermediate Russian cartridge 545. The weapon was first unveiled in Russian Army Expo 2017 alongside an integrally suppressed version. It was developed and produced by Kalashnikov, and it's been in service since 2018. At the moment, it's only being used by Russia, and that's also limited because it's still being tested. However, Russian National Guard, the VSS, which is Russian Air Force, Federal Security Service, also known as FSB, and the Federal Defensive Service, aka FSO, are using the weapon at the time being. In 2042, it's one of the fastest killing weapons, and it's ridiculously strong with a manageable recoil. Definitely give it a try if you haven't already. Next up, we've got another strong AR, the AK-24, which I couldn't find a real-life equivalent for it, but a lot of people think it's basically designed based on AK-12, and I have to agree with them. Some people say it's just an in-game version of AK-12, so AK-12 is the 5th generation of AK rifles, chambered in 545. It also has a variant called AK-15, which is chambered in 7.62 Russian cartridge. The AK-12 project began in 2010 and received multiple modifications to meet the Russian Army's standards. The weapon had 3 different prototypes from 2012 to 2015. However, all 3 prototype versions were abandoned because of an improved and proven AK-400 prototype. This prototype became the basis for the finalized AK-12, and this weapon has the highest headshot multiplier in the game. You might not know this, and every headshot in a gunfight literally means a freebie, so it's one of the best ARs. Next one is the SFAR-M GL, which is a futuristic version of SCAR-H, which is chambered in 7.62 NATO cartridge. SFAR-M stands for Special Forces Assault Rifle-Modern, according to Battlefield Wiki, and the GL probably stands for Grenade Launcher, which is unreplaceable in the game, unfortunately. It was developed by FN Herstal, the Belgian manufacturer, in 2004. Generally speaking, SCAR family has 2 main types. SCAR-L is the light variant, chambered in 556 NATO, and SCAR-H, which is the heavy variant, chambered in 7.62 NATO. Both types are available in close quarter combat, standard, and long barrel variants. Up until the late 2022, the SCAR is in service in over 20 countries such as Brazil, Germany, India, and Japan. In 2042, its damage output is insane, and it's really one of the best ARs in the game. Next weapon in the list is AC-42. While there are no accurate real-life equivalents for this weapon, some people argue that it's designed by DICE based on AS-1 bullpup rifles, since AC-42 is considered a Russian weapon in the game. The AS-1 is a very rare prototype bullpup assault rifle designed by Kalashnikov, chambered in 545 cartridge. Its feed system uses the AK magazine, and there's also a variant called AS-2, which is chambered in 7.62. There's just not enough info about the gun. Some people consider the whole project cancelled, so we have to just move on, but AC-42 is seemingly just an imaginary weapon in 2042 designed based on AS-1. Next up, we've got RM68, which is called the RM227 in real life. It was a part of Next Generation Squad Weapon Program by the US Army. However, the weapon lost the competition to Sig MCX Spear. It was initially developed by General Dynamics and then by Lone Star Future Weapons. This weapon is chambered in 6.8mm TVCM, a polymer-cased cartridge developed by True Velocity. Since the competition is lost and there will be no place for this weapon in the US Army, the manufacturer decided to supply the civilian market, and that will be the end of story for this weapon, RM227. In the game, however, RM68 is one of the most powerful rifles, dealing ridiculous amounts of damage even in longer ranges. Moving on, we've got the GW46, which is the in-game term for the HK-G36C. Introduced in 2001, the G36C is a compact and more developed variant of the G36K. It is chambered in 5.56 NATO. The weapon's been also popular in export and is now in service in many militaries around the world, including the UK, Spain, Germany, and Egypt, and throughout the Battlefield franchise, it's always been a popular weapon. BF3, BF4, Battlefield Hardline, and now BF2042. Next weapon in the list is the VHX-D3, which is called the Springfield Hellion, also known as the VHS-2 in real life. It's a Croatian bullpup rifle, first showcased in 2013, and is chambered for the 5.56 NATO cartridge. While there's been a lot of discussion around the buttstock of the weapon and how effective that length adjustment is, the weapon is known for reliability and the accuracy that it provides. In the game, however, it recently got the third phase of nerf, but we all know that it's still strong in the hands of a pro. Next up, we've got the M16A3, which is a modified version of the M16A2 rifle, which was adopted by the US Marine Corps in 1983 and later in 1986 by the US Army. It uses the improved 5.56 cartridge. The next generation of M16 rifle is called M16A4, which has a removable carrying handle and was adopted in 1997. Total worldwide production of the M16 is approximately around 8 million, making it the most produced firearm in its 5.56 caliber around the world. Since Vietnam War, the different generations of the M16 provided service across the entire world. It's probably more than 60 countries, and in Battlefield 2042, it's still a decent vault weapon. Next weapon is ACW-R, also known as the ACR in real life. ACR stands for Adaptive Combat Rifle. It's a modular assault rifle designed by Magpul Industries of Austin. In 2008, Bushmaster entered a licensing agreement with Magpul to take over future developments and marketing. Since then, it's known as Bushmaster ACR. Also, Remington Arms is responsible for making the selective fire versions of the weapon for the US Army, and that is known as Remington ACR. It was produced from 2010 to 2020, and it is chambered in 5.56 NATO cartridge. I guess the legendary ACR started from the OG Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, but in Battlefield franchise, it's also a very well-known weapon. The MSRP on this thing back in the day was something around $1,500. However, the only military that has ever used the ACR was the Polish Military Intelligence Service. Next weapon in the list is A91, which is a bullpup assault rifle developed during the 90s in Soviet Union. It also has an integral grenade launcher, which we cannot use in the game, unfortunately. As for now, the A91 is manufactured in small numbers and probably is only used by elite Russian police units. It is also offered for export and domestic military and police sales. It's chambered in multiple calibers from 5.45 to 7.62 and even 5.56 NATO for export. In the game though, I personally find this weapon really effective regardless of the whole community literally calling it trash, but make sure to give it some time and I'm sure you're gonna like it. Next up, we've got the M416, which is called the HK416 in real life. It's an assault rifle chambered for the 5.56 NATO cartridge, and it's been in service since 2004. It's a pretty much capable rifle and accepted by armed forces around the world. It's the standard AR of the US Marine Corps. It has been selected as a replacement for FAMAS by the French Armed Forces. It is also the weapon that US Navy's SEAL Team 6 used to kill bin Laden with in 2011. It's currently being used by Ukrainians and probably even Russians in the war, so it's an iconic weapon to say the least. In the game, however, the accuracy hurts this weapon just a bit, but apart from that, it's a decent vault weapon. The next weapon is MTAR-21, which is called the Tavor X95. It's a bullpup assault rifle designed and manufactured by Israel Weapon Industries, also known as the IWI, and is chambered in 5.56 NATO. It's also known as Micro Tavor, which is where the M in the name MTAR originates from. It was selected by the Israel Defense Forces to replace the M16 and M4 carbines as the standard issue weapon of Israeli infantry by the end of 2018. The first X95 weapons were issued to infantry forces in 2013, and the gradual replacement is still in progress. For some reason, the weapon is very popular in South America. Armed forces from Mexico, Brazil, and Colombia are the users of this weapon. However, it's not just the South America. India, Turkey, and Ukraine are also the users of this weapon. In BF-2042, it provides some high rate of fire and decent stability, making it one of the best vault weapons in the game. Last but not least, we've got the AK-971. It's a selective fire assault rifle chambered in 545, designed and developed in Russia since 1980. It's a rather old weapon, but due to its high rate of fire and outstanding stability, it has always been legendary. Not to mention that this weapon is quite rare to come by as well. The AEK successors, Quart 6P67 and Quart 6P68, were announced in 2013, featuring numerous improvements. These variants were adopted by Russian military for special forces, and in 2042, regardless of being a vault weapon with fewer attachments, it's still one of the best ARs in the game, and I absolutely love it. So here you have it, guys, part 3 of Battlefield 2042 weapons in real life. Hope you enjoyed it and hope it was helpful. I myself am actually learning so much stuff because of the small research I do for every single one of these weapons, so I hope I can convey some of that information with these videos. In part 4, we're going to go over the LMGs, and surely that video is going to have its own audience as well. For now, we're going to end this one right here and hope to see you in part 4. Stay cool.